we're going to have a chat about all things digital in real estate. And
Let's do it.
since you are very active on your social media, which is brilliant, and I want to say over 10,000 followers on Facebook alone, 2,500, nearly 3,000 on Instagram. It seems to just be creeping up more and more and more. You do a lot of videos. How did you start in the digital, not my cat, how did you start in the digital space? Like when you thought of digital marketing for your business and for your team, where did you start?
Very much in the beginning, I saw it as an opportunity in our industry. Naturally, real estate, being very, very traditional. The average age of a real estate agent when I first came to the industry was very much, north of 45, 50. And I saw an opportunity for a younger person to really take the industry by storm and utilize a different way of targeting audiences. So naturally, the traditional media of paper, face-to-face and phone calls is fantastic, but I went, well, how can it be more productive? Get out to a more wider network. And sort of the whole philosophy was in the early stages, I went, okay, I'm just going to add anyone I meet. It was almost like at a barbecue or at a party, and I'd go, okay, I'm just going to add them to Facebook. And hopefully over time, they know someone, because if they keep on posting content, they might just give me the opportunity, whether it's their parents or whether it's their grandparents one day, they might say, oh, I keep on seeing this Josh Hart guy pop up on my Facebook. You should maybe give him a call. So that's where I started. It was literally, how can I be more productive? How can I take advantage of maybe being a little bit younger and a little bit more ambitious? And it just grew from there.
That's, it's so true, because my novelty thing is, and I'm sort of in between that generation. So my novelty thing is to go down on a Sunday, grab the paper, but I don't look at for necessarily property or anything like that. And I don't pick it up every single day either. But it's a novelty for me. So if I'm looking at property, I'm going to go online. And yes, I know we go to the typical websites where it's real estate or domain, but I'm always on the feed too. And if something grabs my attention and pops up, I'm going to look at it. So we are moving away from that. And the people that are trying to attract a different audience, you've got to do everything. And they say that if you're not doing everything, you're not doing enough.
And that's where I first started. It was quite interesting, when I first started what I wanted to post, and I've changed it over time. It used to be all about real estate. It used to be just all about business. And now I really try to personalize it and actually sort of show who the real Josh is. And in our industry, I think there's a challenge there, because you talk about being a business person, and then there's your business side, but then you also talk about being relatable or authentic. And it's a really hard border to cross sometimes. And it's taken, sort of 5-6 years for me to really understand maybe what's that perfect balance. And I don't think there's a one size fits all approach. It really just comes down to the individual person and who they want to be on social and online.
I think a lot of people that we talk to as well, they sort of say, when do you share, and how much do you share, and do I make it my personal page or do I make it my business page? And a lot of people get a bit stuck by that. And like you said, if that's what you want to do, if you're happy to promote a little bit more about yourself, which is really important in sales, and because people will buy from you if they like you, or they sell from you if they like you. So you've got to build 100%. That personal rapport. So I think that it can't be too stagnant and be too business-like. But, when you set off and you start and you talk to your team about your strategic direction, I guess, with digital marketing, do you have an intention behind your steps and where you go? And do you sort of say, okay, well, we're going to do a video for every property, we're going to place it on there, or do we, pay for advertising? What's your plan?
Yeah, good question. In our industry, again, we're real estate agents. We're not meant to be gurus in social media marketing. And sort of, I think there's a big fear in our industry of, I have to be everything. I have to try and do everything which everyone is doing. So I tried to really simplify, going, I have to be on there, but let's keep it simple, let's keep it consistent. So when I first opened up my team, one of the requirements was every single property has to have a property video. If the vendor says no to it, I will pay for it myself. Because I believed in the process, I believed in what it brought to the table for our client, but also I knew that how we could get more exposure. So that property video now goes onto our Facebook page, gets launched. It's fantastic in a way of targeting particular buyer profiles. And then what I've actually done is just recently hired a data scientist. So he actually looks after all the advertising around that property video. So my whole role is just to put it up, and to write the content for it, and then I pass it over to an expert. So that's our simple strategy there in regards to how to get more followers, how to get our clients' properties out to the right networks, how to really build beautiful momentum in that post as well. But it's a whole thing of hire people who know what to do. Don't try and become an expert in every single facet if it's not what you're meant to be doing.
Absolutely, because it is time consuming as well. And real estate agents, my partner is a real estate agent as well, and he is really time poor with that stuff and admin. And I say to him all the time, post a video, do this, do that, and be really active. And there is a way to go about it without overcommitting, but getting people, the experts, to do it for you, because, from our perspective, we don't know real estate like you guys do, but we know how to get you guys exposed, and we know how to create your brand awareness, and we know how to support you at that. So hiring a data scientist is brilliant. It's such a good idea.
And it's really simple how we've set up that process. So again, it has to be simple. It has to be easy. If it gets too complicated, the agent won't do it, and you won't be proactive and productive in regards to really focusing on it. So it's literally post, make the content, send it to my data scientist, and then I just say, right, this is the audience who we're targeting. This is the spend and the budget I'm giving you for this post. And then I just let him go and do his magic. And then once per month, we catch up. And then he gives me a complete rundown in regards to all the analytics. And he started to really educate and sort of, give me some guidance so I can learn at the same time. But again, it's not my role. Another sort of very simple strategy, which we've employed a couple of times, is actually creating content. And content is really difficult when you're really busy looking after your vendors, looking after your sellers, trying to give really good service. But what we did is started doing live interviews with experts in the property industry. So we'll just do a Facebook Live, and I'd interview a broker, so a mortgage broker. I'd interview a conveyancer. I'd interview a stylist. And all it is a 10-minute sort of update in regards to what they do, what's happening in their industry. Naturally, finance relates to property, styling relates to property, conveyancing, there's always changes in regulations, and really bringing good content to our audience, which is what they wanted. And again, we had fantastic traction on that, and it became a weekly show. Again, being quite busy. We did it in season, so we stopped for a couple of months and we're about to start it again. But it was just adding value and making it really simple. I hired someone to set up the whole system for me. So pretty much he has the camera, he had the audio, he had the lighting. I'd tell him where we meet. It was 15 minutes. He set everything up. I rocked up. I knew what we were talking about. Again, you've got to make it really simple so you actually always are consistent.
That's perfect. It's like the 3 E's of marketing that we say is educate, entertain, and engage.
Yep.
And
spot on.
If you're putting, you see so many real estate agents putting posts out there with the sold sign and everything like that, and that's great, but really the only people in the industry are high-fiving are each other. Because for somebody as a homeowner, I want to find some information about a real estate agent. That's great, they just sold another property. I think that's brilliant. But when they put their overall stacks up, that's where I see where they position in the market. But I want to know who they are, and I want to sort of see what content they deliver to me, because there's a lot of people out there that have never sold a home before and maybe sitting on a home that they've had through the family generations, and they don't even know where to start. So by providing content and information like that is imperative. And in terms of the spend, it's so important. What do you recommend to somebody that you do have to spend money behind some of your campaigns to be able to get an audience and engagement? Yeah. So do you sort of have like a minimum spend that you would suggest?
Yeah, on average, we're spending between $1,000 and $1,500 per month on our social media spend. So that's not what I pay my data scientist. That's literally on my spend for our content. And it's interesting. So there's a mix of properties, there's information, but also, you know, we put a post up the other night. I went bushwalking to a waterfall down sort of the west coast of Tasmania. It's pretty rugged down there. And it's a beautiful shot, which my sister's partner took. And I put that up and I said to my data scientist, hey, this is an awesome shot. Look, throw some spend in it. Let's see if we can get some traction, you know, get his name out. He's an amazing photographer. And I just checked this morning, I think we're at 650 likes, shares, comments. It's just blown up. And it's, again, you know, it's talking about your environment and where you love to go and what you love to do. And it wasn't about real estate, but it's about where we live and how sort of parochial we are, how much we love Tasmania. So little things like that, again, make you relatable, but also, you know, you're celebrating where you live and your community. It's just finding that really nice balance.
And when someone's starting and they haven't really dipped their toe into the social media, maybe what's some tips that you would suggest to a real estate agent on where to start?
Good question. So it's probably, it comes down to who you are as a person. And the people who are brought onto my team, some people hate video first up. So what I do, I go and get them a video coach or someone who can actually get them really comfortable in front of a camera. I did drama back at school and musicals and singing and performing arts. So from that point of view, that was my background. So video or sort of interviews like this right now, I really love doing it. It's really fun. But for other people, they get absolutely scared. So I'd say you've got to work out firstly who you want to be in the digital space. Secondly, where I started building my profile was the same thing. You know, each time I would meet someone at a barbecue or at a party or at an event, I'd get their details and kind of stalkerish, but I'd add them. Even if I'd known them, but kind of not, I'd add them. And, you know, if they don't want to talk to you, they'll just not let you add them. And then I'd invite them to my page. Probably one of my biggest bugbears with real estate agents is inviting other real estate agents to their page. Please don't do that. It's not your target audience. But realistically, you know, just trying to build up that authentic audience in your network over time. It's going to take time. And I think it's one of these things in this day and age where we expect things to happen overnight. People go, how did you get 10,000 followers? And so it's like 6 to 7 bloody long years. It doesn't happen overnight. You can't go and buy people. You've got to just build up the community over time. And it does take consistency to get there. So what in the beginning, what we used to do is competitions, and we're about to launch one shortly. But with competitions, it's got to provide value to the community. So during COVID, naturally all the tourism operators have shut down. So we're going to select a couple of sort of places where we love to go, and we're going to give opportunities for our community to go and win a couple of nights there. So it's being relevant. It's not just doing it for the purpose of actually just getting followers, but it's actually trying to create conversation, engage with the audience. Like if you look at my post right now with the waterfall, you know, I'm commenting back where people are asking me, you know, is it an easy walk? Is it a flat walk? Could I do it in a couple of hours? And actually relating back, don't just, you know, not give them anything. You need to have that conversation to really build that audience up over time. You know, we just mentioned about the sold, and that's a really polarizing thing, because to some people they feel like that they're bragging and they don't want to celebrate their successes. I think you've got to be really careful how you do it, but you can still do it in a really engaging way. So it's things like, if you know the vendor or you know the purchaser, and with their permission, you got to ask first. Don't do what I did way back in my career, which I didn't ask, and I just posted with their names there, and it got a little bit awkward because they wanted to keep it quite private. But ask first, take a photo, celebrate, tag them into that post. What you'll find is that they'll probably share it if it's news which they want to share with their friends and family, and then their friends and family are going to start commenting. That's a great way of really building trust. Celebrating someone's big moment, but also being able to share your successes in not so much of an egotistical way online. So, you know, this is, you know, 5, 6, 7 years of trying, testing, perfecting, making mistakes, getting told off, but you've just got to find your own way of doing it.
It's like building a relationship with somebody. It does take time. And, you know, when we talk to real estate agents and they're working with us for the first couple of months, that we say that right from the start, 3 months minimum to really understand the values and what you want to do with your platform and your business and where the direction is that you want to go. And then after that, start implementing some of the things to put into it, because it does take time. And fortunately, we've got examples like you that have tried and tested and can sort of give us the what not tos and what tos as well, that can shorten that length of time as well.
Totally.
So by providing people with content and education, and that's what we do, we sort of try to work out content, workshops, webinars, to be able to provide these ideas, because all the ideas that you've said like we said, has to be relevant. It has to be relevant to your audience. Every post that you post on social media has to have an intention behind it. Why are you posting? And it gives you that edge, I guess, especially with real estate now more than ever, is to try to change the game. Talk to a different audience.
Yeah. And it's interesting you mentioned about trying to change the game, because I go back to, in 13 years of doing real estate, I've come to this really quite simple philosophy, is that real estate isn't rocket science. And I feel that our industry always tries to change the game in some way, and try to do something outlandishly different. But the simple philosophy of real estate is that's about connection. It's about helping someone, giving them really measured advice, professional advice, and getting them from A to B. If you understand the fundamentals and you're all about creating content and educating someone and doing it for the right reasons, you'll build that following up over time. But it's also, we talk about it's not rocket science. Don't be afraid to bring people onto your team who are experts in that area. And I keep on saying that because it's something which I've learned. I tried to be the guru of everything. And I learned over time that physically you just can't do it. And so hire the experts who know exactly what they're doing, and they can really empower you and let you do your job absolutely amazingly.
I love it. That's a good takeaway, actually. That's a good finish, a good wrap up to sort of say, if you're not doing anything at the moment, get started, build the relationship, get involved with the community. You don't have to think you're going to get 10,000 people overnight. It's if you get 10, because they've got 20, 30, 40, 50 friends that if they like some content, they'll share it, but just start producing content that's manageable. And if you don't know how to do it, find out from someone who can. So
Rome wasn't built in a day. And I think that's the biggest fear of agents, is that they think they have to do all these things. Just take it day by day, do the simple things. And then over time, you'll build something pretty incredible.
I love it. I really appreciate your time this morning.
No.